Hey unicorns, it's Ellie, and I will be reading from the Mary-Kate Ashe Miracles Happen autobiography. This chapter is chapter 10, the $35,000 list, and this is to encourage anyone who would like to make $35,000, and whether that's in a lump sum or that's what you want for your salary to be. I did post another video about how you can make $35,000 in Mary Kay. It's not the step-by-step system that I'm working on, the blueprint. That's just in general with working with the business. So you can go back and watch that video after you finish this one. But yes, this is the $35,000 list. In my early sales career, I heard a story that was to have a lasting effect upon me and the way I work. The subject was time management, and the story concerned Ivy Lee, a leading efficiency expert, and Charles Schwab, president of the then small company called Bethlehem Steel. Ivy Lee called on Charles Schwab and said to him, "I can increase your efficiency and your sales if you will allow me to spend 15 minutes with each of your executives." Naturally, Schwab asked, "What will it cost me?" "Nothing," Lee said, "unless it works. In 3 months, you can send me a check for whatever you think it's worth to you. Fair enough?" Schwab agreed, so Lee spent 15 minutes with each executive from the struggling young steel company and asked them to complete a single task. Every morning for the next 3 months, each executive was to make a list of the 6 most important things he had to do the next day. Finally, the executive was to rank the items in order of importance. Each morning, begin with the first item on the list, she told them, and scratch it off when it's finished. Just work your way down those 6 items. If you don't get something finished, it goes on the next day's list. At the end of the 3-month trial, efficiency in sales had increased to such an extent that Schwab sent Lee a check for $35,000. Now that's still a lot of cash for such a small amount of work, but in today's money, $35,000 would probably be equivalent to $350,000. I was very impressed with the story. I thought that if such a list could be worth $35,000 to Charles Schwab, it was worth $35 to me. So I pondered the moral. I took an old envelope out of my purse and wrote down the 6 most important things I had to do the next day. And I had continued making that $35,000 list every single day of my life. Everybody has been told to make a list, but this story convinced me that such a tool could actually mean money in my pocket. So this list became my mechanism for keeping on track. It's so easy to bounce around on a busy day, looking for 1,000 important tasks and never quite knowing where to begin. The list involves that for me. The list will force you to decide which tasks are actually the most important, and for that reason, it's essential to keep the list short and sweet. Don't be overzealous and put down 17 things that must be done, because you look at the number and think, I can't possibly do all of this. 6 is an easily managed number, and if you reach a point where you can accomplish them all with ease, consider tackling bigger tasks. Most important, you must go through the physical motions of writing it down on paper. It's too easy to run the list through your head and ignore or postpone something you wish to avoid. When it's on the list, it's for real. Often, I find I'm so busy that I don't have time to refer to my list, but by the time I glance at it again in the evening, I've usually accomplished most of the 6. I think this is because sitting and writing the tasks reinforces them so that I subconsciously work towards my daily goals. Another keystone to organizing my workday is organizing my desk. I hate to work at a cluttered desk, so every night I arrange my work so that completed projects are placed in one folder, work in progress goes in another folder, and materials to be reviewed go in a third folder, and so on. This way, I end each working day with a clean desk. When I arrive at the office the next morning, my secretary has organized my folders to coincide with my $35,000 list. And I start to work, item by item. Instead of shuffling through everything and picking out the goodies, something we're all prone to do, I start with whatever's on top, no matter what. Even if it takes me 2 hours of research to answer the questions at the top of the letter, I don't go on until I've finished it. I continue in order until I work my way down to the bottom of the pile. I handle every piece of paper only once. I think this last point is very important. Otherwise, you pick up a letter and say, "Gee, I don't know how to answer that. I'll have to think about it." You usually put the letter aside, pick it up a few hours later, and still don't know what to do with it. It's better to gather your research, go ahead, and make a decision. I see shuffling papers as a stumbling block for many ineffective managers. I believe in getting on with the work at hand. It seems to me that ineffective managers also spend more time worrying about something that it would take to actually. It seems to me that ineffective managers spend more time worrying about something than it would take to actually accomplish the task. They worry their way through the entire day when they should just go ahead and do it. Often, this happens because someone doesn't want to fail or look foolish. But remember, if you aren't willing to fail, you'll never succeed. I try to organize my day so that I can save as much time as possible. One way to do this is by keeping tape recorders in my dressing room, kitchen, and car. In this way, I can use otherwise idle time by listening to motivational tapes and giving dictation. Another way I try to save time during my workday is to eat lunch in my office. I'm often invited to lunch by business associates, but I rarely accept those invitations. So-called work lunches can last until 2 or 3 in the afternoon, and sitting in a restaurant that long usually means that I ate too much and do not feel like working when I get back to my office. The entire day has been lost. I prefer a quick, light lunch at my desk. I guess that I've always been time conscious. There are only 24 hours in a day. In all of my working life, I've tried to get the most mileage out of those hours. Many years ago, I heard someone remark that 3 early risings make an early extra day. I thought about that and said to myself, if I get up at 5 o'clock for 3 mornings, I'll have an 8-day week. That's exactly what I've been looking for. Then I realized that if I got up early 6 times a week, I'd have a 9-day week. I also discovered how much more I could get done during those early morning hours, when there was no phone calls or other interruptions. When I discovered how much I enjoyed my 9-day week, I decided to form my 5 o'clock club. I invite everyone I know to get up at 5 o'clock and join the club. And it's amazing to see how many people with Mary Kay Cosmetics have decided to do just that. Of course, some people are truly at their best during the late hours, and for them functioning at 5 o'clock in the morning is impossible. But I always extend my invitation to every new Mary Kay director. So many of them have written to me, "I just joined your 5 o'clock club and I love it. I get so much done before my family gets up." In my speeches to professional and community groups, I often talk about the $35,000 list and my early morning routine. If my audience is a class of prospective Mary Kay directors, I'll ask how many want to join the 5 o'clock club. And I'll always get a big show of hands.